You know how as you get older, each new year seems to feel like the last? Yeah. Welcome to 2016, my friends! Leaving behind a year of roughly equal levels of hype and disappointment, and entering a year fresh with new promise. But instead of looking back, I'm going to start the year by looking ahead. And we've got some really promising games in the pipe, so I'm going to count down the 10 games that I'm excited for the most. Now, I'm only looking at games that are currently slated for release in North America in 2016. No HD re-releases, and January games such as Mario & Luigi Paper Jam and Death by Game Show won't be on here, since they may already be in my hands by the time you're watching this. Okay, it's game time! I won't go out and say that Fire Emblem Awakening is the best Fire Emblem game, but it is the first one I could really get into due to its accessibility. So I can easily see the promise shown by Fire Emblem Fates. The latest in the strategy RPG series looks to build upon the strengths of Awakening, while at the same time introducing some new wrinkles into the mix. I'll just get the biggest of these wrinkles out of the way right now. The game features a branching storyline, revolving around the two kingdoms of Hoshido and Nor, around which the game's conflict revolves. I'll admit I'm a bit iffy on the business practice regarding this, namely that the story is split into two versions, Birthright and Conquest, with the option you didn't buy and a third option being offered as DLC. But hey, what do I know about business? Other changes to the game hope to change up the strategy involved. A second weapon triangle has been introduced, relating magic, bows, and hidden weapons, whatever those are. The pair-up system, which may have been overpowered in Awakening, can now be used by the enemy as well. Weapon durability has also been replaced with stat modifiers. And then there's Phoenix Mode, or as I like to call it, I suck at strategy and just want to follow the story mode. Of particular note is the My Castle, which allows you to set up your own base of operations where you can build shops, hold enemy prisoners, and interact with your allies. Fates drops in the US this February, and whichever side you choose, I'm hoping that this game is a choice you won't regret. Question: how do you outdo a PC gaming staple like Team Fortress 2? Well, Blizzard is banking on Overwatch to be its answer, and by what we've seen so far, they may be onto something. The game has been in beta for a while now, so we've gotten to see quite a bit of it, and it definitely looks like a game to watch this year. The gameplay, at its core, is not unlike TF2, being an objective-driven team-based shooter, but it also looks like it includes elements of games such as Heroes of the Storm, specifically in each character's unique loadouts and ultimate abilities, each of which are suited to their specific purposes. The heroes of the game are quite a bit more varied than TF2, and hopefully they'll show enough personality to be more than just quantity over quality. The cast includes Mei, a researcher with cryogenic weaponry, Genji, a cybernetic ninja, and Winston, a genetically enhanced gorilla, just to name a few. The game's art style looks very stylized and futuristic as well, which is perfect for the game's setting. Unlike TF2, however, this is a retail game, but from the gameplay and variety of characters to play as, I'm hopeful that this game will be worth the cost. It certainly looks like it's shaping up to give the old guard some competition. Hopefully they'll add new modes as the game's player base continues to grow. They already intend to add new heroes over time. However, if it becomes about hats, I'm out. I'm fine with this one, thank you very much. Given that Guilty Gear Xrd Sign had a subtitle in the first place, it was pretty obvious that the plot that ArcSys had in mind for this story arc in the franchise was going to take more than just one game. So when the next game in the arc, subtitled Revelator, was announced, I just nodded my head and told myself, well, of course. Of course, considering how hyped that Sign was, the same hype is carrying over to Revelator. There are some updates to the mechanics, including the introduction of Stylish Mode to the series for those who are new to the game, but what I'm most excited for are the additions to the roster. 3 characters are returning to the fight, the first of which is the Stylin' Ladykiller pirate Johnny, back in all his quick-drawing, coin-tossing, mist finer glory. The second returning veteran is the Kung Fu waitress Jam Kuradoberi, whose voice is admittedly annoyingly high. And finally, we have the return of the half-gear Dizzy, who won a fan vote over in Japan. Last but not least, we have a newcomer to the roster. Meet Jack Go, everybody! This lady is one of Batman's operatives, and her playstyle is apparently based on real-time strategy. Oh, and she's another Valentine. Geez, you think we have enough of those freaks running around? Note, while I was getting ready to record, another new character was announced named Kum Hae-hyun, who's a young girl in an old man costume. Whatevs. With how fun Sign was, I can't wait to see how things go in Revelator when it hits the US this spring. Now I'm just gonna have to get good. Woo! StarFox is back, yo! The official unveiling of StarFox Zero, along with the aforementioned Paper Jam, were probably the only good things revealed at Nintendo's shockingly lackluster E3 last year, and truth be told, I can't wait to hop back in the R-Wing again. The game's look has improved as time has gone on, and the environments are looking great, but the biggest improvements seem to be to the gameplay. For one thing, you'll be able to use the gamepad to adjust the aim of your R-Wing. And speaking of the R-Wing, you'll be able to transform it into a walker, an idea taken from the cancelled StarFox 2. The hovering capabilities of the Landmaster have been improved and actually allowed to transform into the Gravmaster. Another new feature is the addition of a remote-controlled drone to activate hard-to-reach switches and other things. Also, it wouldn't be a StarFox game without the old squad. Everyone is back and ready for action. Well, everyone except Crystal anyway. One thing puzzles me though. Apparently the story is a retelling of StarFox 64, which is a retelling of the original StarFox. How many times are they going to keep retelling this story? I don't know, and to be honest, I don't care. It's a new StarFox, and fans have been waiting for this for years. It's good to see you again, old friend. It's been too long. While Capcom has been doing things better over the past couple years with Ace Attorney and Monster Hunter among other things, it's still clear as day that Street Fighter is still their go-to franchise. Street Fighter V looks to continue the proud tradition of the most important franchise in the genre. Like Overwatch, the game has been in beta for a while, and thanks to YouTubers like Maximilian, we have a pretty good idea of what to expect. And from what I've seen so far, it's looking pretty damn good. At its core, Street Fighter V is the same kind of classic fighting action that it's always been. However, while SF3 had parrying and SF4 had focus attacks, the new wrinkle in this installment is the V-Gauge, which feeds into 3 different types of moves. V-Skills, which can help build the gauge, V-Reversals, which expend some of the gauge to counter an attack, and the V-Trigger, which uses the whole gauge to perform a powerful technique. The roster is looking good as well, with 16 characters at launch, 4 of which are new, including the Wild Man Necalli, the Middle Eastern Windmaster Rashid, the Electric Beauty Laura, and the poisonous right hand of Shadowloo, Fong. SF5 also marks the return of 4 characters from the Alpha series, Birdie, Armika, Karin, and Charlie Nash. Back from the dead, thanks to the Illuminati. The graphics look pretty good too, and Capcom has also taken the time to add some pretty fun visual gags. Perhaps the most interesting thing, however, is their approach to the game's DLC. Seems like Capcom is taking a page from the MOBA book. And don't worry, Capcom has said that they don't intend to make a stream of updated versions of this one. The version that drops in February looks to be the SF5. Get freaking hype! I don't know how many people wanted an official Pokemon fighting game, but whether you wanted it or not, we're getting one, and I'm excited for it. Pokken Tournament is being billed as a crossover between Nintendo's Pokemon and Namco Bandai's Tekken franchises. From the gameplay footage we've seen so far, however, Tekken-style gameplay is only part of the combat, with the other half consisting of free-roaming combat which bears some similarities to the Ultimate Ninja Storm series, also published by Namco Bandai. It's pleasantly surprising to see the variety of Pokemon that have made the roster thus far. They managed to get Suicune and Chandelure in a fighting game. That is pretty impressive. It's also nice to see the kind of action we can expect to see. The fighting styles on display are really cool. I mean, we have Pikachu basically fighting like a Mishima, complete with the signature Heihachi arm fold. Other members of the roster include Gardevoir, Machamp, Blaziken, Lucario, and more, each with their own styles and super moves. And as a boss, I'm one of the undoubtedly many people who saw Mewtwo coming a mile away. But I never expected it to be Shadow Mewtwo. And with his super move, yeah, they're not even trying to be subtle with this one. We get it, Namco Bandai. You made a lot of the DBZ games. You don't need to remind us. When Final Fantasy XIII was first announced, it was part of a set of 3 games collectively known as Fabula Nova Crystallis or something like that. Ultimately, however, 13 Agito would become Type 0, which only got a US release last year, and Versus 13 went through development hell before finally being rebranded as Final Fantasy 15. And the more I see about this game, the more I want it. For one thing, the world of the game looks massive and looks gorgeous. The environments look lush and dynamic, and they look like they're going to be a joy to explore. The character models look great as well, and I'm hoping that the characters themselves are up to snuff. Goodness knows the franchise's characters have been rather hit or miss. The combat looks fast and frantic as well. It seems that Square Enix opted for more of a hack-and-slash feel, not unlike Kingdom Hearts in some aspects. This has some potential for some amazing combat, especially since some of the monsters we've seen so far are downright enormous. There's also some interesting mechanics being thrown into the mix as well, such as camping, cooking, and being able to drive a car. This game is shaping up to be quite an unforgettable experience. And considering that it's been in development since the last console generation, it sure as hell better be. There are only 3 reasons I can think of that anyone would want to own an Xbox One over a PS4. Those are Rare Replay, Halo, and Killer Instinct. At first I was a bit skeptical over the approach that Microsoft took with this revival, but playing it at a game convention, I realized just how awesome it was to play it. It feels like a video game drama of sorts, with new characters being introduced every so often, and now Killer Instinct is entering its 3rd season this year. The story looks like it's going to pick up where Season 2 left off, with Ultratech's leading AI having lured Gargos out of hiding for her own ends, and everyone else caught in the middle. So far, 3 new characters have been confirmed to join the cast this season. Returning from KI2 are Kim Woo, who hopefully will be bringing back her nunchucks, and the Beefcake Tusk, who's probably going to be as ripped as ever. And a few months back, Season 2 players got a taste of the 3rd character. A special guest, Rash from Battletoads, is joining the roster officially with Season 3, complete with Hoverbike. There are probably going to be some character tweaks as well to improve the game's balance, but from what I keep hearing, this is going to be something special. Oh, and it's coming to Windows 10 too, so PC gamers can get in on all the Ultra combos, Shadow combos, and TJ combo they can handle. Now I might actually have a reason to upgrade. Of course I would put Zelda for Wii U at least this high. You don't need to go in depth about how pretty it looks to get me excited for it. It's Zelda. It generates hype simply for being Zelda. Zelda is. Real talk, it's rare for me not to get excited about a brand new Zelda game, and almost impossible if it's main series. And even with what little we know about this new entry, I'm excited as hell. Right now, what we do know for one is that the game will have a massive open world. This will allow for a great amount of freedom in gameplay progression, even to a greater degree than A Link Between Worlds. And this world looks absolutely breathtaking. It's being said to push the Wii U hardware to its absolute limit, and such a statement would not surprise me in the slightest. Another confirmed feature is the return of Link's trusty steed, Epona. Of course, horse travel would be a necessity, given with how huge this world is, but it also gives rise to a cool new mechanic. Link can jump off of Epona and enter a bullet time state to aim an arrow in midair. Yeah, we're going Matrix up in here. Another item we know of is a sailcloth used for gliding, which is a nice nod to Wind Waker. Another thing, I love the way that the game's art style is looking. It seems like a combination of several previous art styles combined into a happy medium. And that's pretty much all we know. The game doesn't even have a name yet. I'm sure we'll learn a lot more as the game nears its release date, but with Zelda's 30th anniversary, one thing's for sure. This is gonna be big. Alright, here are some honorable mentions before we hit number 1. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Eyes of Heaven. But why are they only localizing the PS4 version? The King of Fighters XIV, proof that SNK still cares about video games. Hyper Light Drifter, think Cyberpunk Zelda in indie style. Banjo 3, I mean Ukulele. Seriously, they're not even trying to hide it. And finally, No Man's Sky. Seriously, this galaxy looks insanely massive. This number 1 is quite a bit more personal than most, given my history with this franchise. But whatever. It's Shantae Half Genie Hero. Now, a couple of people in the comments of some of my videos happen to have caught my name in the credits for both Risky's Revenge and Pirate's Curse, so yeah, I guess that cat's out of the bag. Even with that, this game is looking amazing. Ever since the Kickstarter for this game was first shown off, I was hyped. The Guardian Genie of Scuttletown was coming to True HD for the first time, and oh my god, even in the early stages, it looked beautiful. Those hand-drawn sprites, those lively backgrounds, mwah! It's beautiful. Of course, that's no surprise, considering that the lead animator from Skullgirls is involved. Jake Kaufman, the awesome dude who did my intro theme, is contributing his musical talent to the series once again, so we know that aspect is gonna kick ass. Gameplay looks as slick as always, and Shantae's back to her belly dancing, magical old self. What interests me the most here is how the game is changing. The style is shifting from an Igavania open world style to a chapter-based format, with you being able to revisit previous chapters after earning new abilities. Of course, with the stretch goals that were met during the crowdfunding campaign, there are a lot of cool additions, like new playable characters, additional chapters, and stat-changing costumes. Being the fan of platformers that I am, and given that I fell in love with Shantae when I was involved with the franchise, this game is looking to be a wish come true in 2016. I can't wait. I'm the Quarter Guy, and the Half Genie hype is real! Well, that was a fun way to start off the year, wasn't it? Be sure to leave your feedback in the comments section. And if you want to see more, be sure to check out my other series, including my 25 cents worth every week. Also, be sure to check me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Twitch. And if you have a little extra money and want to help out the channel even more, you can donate to my Patreon and maybe even score some cool extras. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, this is the Quarter Guy, signing out.